Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Power of Knowing Forums, LinkedIn Live episode 141. Today we are discussing on the topic of leadership in the age of observability, turning insights into action. And to have this topic discussed, we have the honor of Mr. Abhijit Chakravarty, VP Network and Security from Kotak Bank. Without further ado, I am bringing Mr. Abhijit Chakravarty to the dais. Hi, Abhijit.
Hey, hi, good evening, Prem. How are you doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you doing?
So far, so good. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Without further ado, let's start. Sir, what is this observability and in the context of modern leadership, and how is it reshaping your approach in decision making, sir?
Okay, now, very good question. In fact, it's I think it's a very basic question, and it is good to
Yeah.
know. So, in the market, there are these two terms: observability,
Mm-hmm.
visibility, and observability, right? And there is a distinction between the two, right?
Mm.
Visibility is what you see.
Okay.
It's just about what you see, what you can see, right? Observability, as the literary meaning goes, is what do you observe from what you see. So
Mm.
visibility is what you see. So I see a
Mm.
router or a
Mm.
network switch. Observability is what do you see in that network switch.
Mm.
Okay, so this is the thin line between visibility and observability right now. Where it becomes important, visibility, why it is important is, see, when you are running any business, and then let's forget for the moment digital and internets and all that. Let's say I run a simple shop, maybe a grocery shop. Do I have visibility into my uh, provisions? Do I know what capacity I have? Do I have visibility into accounts? No, this is
Okay.
this is the basic of that business, right?
Mm.
Similarly, when you're running a IT infrastructure, and more so now in the interconnected and digital world, it is very important to know what is it that you have in your infrastructure. So that is
Yeah.
visibility right now. Point number two is, how does this make a difference in decision making, right? Very, very
Mm.
important. So
Mm.
visibility. Okay, now let's say, for an example, let's say we've got about 1,000 odd Windows servers. Okay, now maybe the build of all Windows servers are not the same, because different
Yeah.
applications are running on that Windows servers, and hence you have different builds running on different Windows servers, right?
Mm.
Operating system builds also may be a bit different right now. Now, suppose if there is a vulnerability that is to be kind of, that you have been informed, or you've come to know that there is a vulnerability in Windows. How do you go and check it across those 1,000 Windows servers?
Mm.
How many of them are impacted? How many
Okay.
of them are not impacted? Now, this is visibility.
Mm.
Because, see, if you do not have visibility, you will immediately react saying that, oh, let's go ahead and patch. But patch
Yeah.
which servers? All 1,000 may not be
Yeah.
required.
That is not possible. Right? So,
So this is where, if you have good visibility, uh, the output or that outcome of that visibility will give you intelligent actionable. I think that is very, very important. You need to have actionable, and you
mm.
need to have intelligent actionable, right? So this is where visibility is important in, and it helps in decision making as to what is to be done, because everyone today, every business has limited resources.
Yeah.
When I say resources, in terms of tools, in terms of manpower. Now, how do you maximize the output? And the game is very simple, Prem. The game is to operate with minimum risk. I'm saying
Mm.
minimum risks.
Yeah.
To how do you reach to that minimum risk? By prioritizing your actions, and ensuring that only low criticality risks are left. That
Mm.
too with visibility, informed decision. Not luck by luck. It's
Yeah.
informed decisions. So that's important.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
anything else that you would want to kind of
Yeah, no, I got the point. It is like kind of an inventory that should be there available for us to look at the various factors that can affect. When you took that example of some
yeah,
different systems,
yeah,
that inventory tells us what are the systems that may be falling under the patch level.
yeah. Say
Or,
I'll give you another example, and this
okay,
is a real life example. Now, say for example, there is a CVE released for an SSH. Okay,
yeah, okay,
some vulnerability in SSH.
hmm,
Now, it is a critical. It is
yeah,
defined as critical by the OEM. Okay. Now, should I, as a business operations or as an IT operations, treat this with equal criticality? The answer is yes. But how do I react? Now, do I
hmm,
have a visibility into my systems? How many of my infrastructure elements run SSH? What
true,
if they run, it is critical. Please go ahead and patch. If it is not, then your action changes from must have to good to have. Prem.
good to have, true.
Yeah, it's good to have, not must have. There is
Must.
no immediate knee jerk reaction that you need to take. So
I
this,
think the other point that you are trying to say is if I'm a Linux shop,
yeah,
specific to be very specific, if I'm a Linux shop and predominant my infrastructure needs SSH, that becomes a critical path. Whereas if I'm not a critical, my infrastructure is on Azure and stuff, still I can go and take control on the platform, which I think may not be required.
yeah,
Got your
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh, Go ahead, sir.
please
Go ahead.
go ahead, you go ahead.
Yeah. How do we ensure the data availability through observability tools translate into meaningful and actionable insights rather than information overload? See, I think
Okay,
what happens, we have data so much that it turns to be a overload. So, how do we look at the wealth of data that is there with us, and what are
excellent.
the observability tools that to transfer meaningful?
Excellent questions. Excellent questions. See, I think I think so. We have already spoken about visibility and observability and the importance to have that right now.
Hmm,
What will that result into? It will result into a lot of alerts and inputs and
hmm,
information, as you rightly said.
yeah.
Now, how do we derive intelligence? Okay. The first thing is that when you are kind of using any visibility or observability tool, you've got to be, I would say it is very important for us to consider certain parameters.
Hmm.
Number one, obviously, is the capability of the tool to work across multiple different technology platforms. It should not happen that I work good with Windows, but not so with Linux. Then, your purpose is defeated.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? That's point number one. Point number two is, does the tool have the capability to build, uh, as I say, correlation,
Hmm.
because it is gathering a lot of inputs from a lot of different devices and looking at the type of the problem, the nature of the problem, the error codes, and the timestamps. Is it able to correlate to tell me that, Abhijit, the problem lies with X or the
Hmm.
problem lies between X and Y? I think that is okay.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
these are the two probable problem statements that you should go back and check in details. I think that is what is required. So the capability to do triaging and correlation is very important with a visibility tool. Else you will always have a lot of information, you will have a lot of reports, and as I keep using this word, I'll use it again, that actionable intelligence will not be available. I think that is important.
Yeah. With that coming into picture, how do we have strategies around that to be employed to prevent analysis paralysis?
Okay, now this is another very very good question, and I think a very debatable topic, Prem, but I'll
Yeah,
try and be as brief as possible. Now now where do you do analysis when you are not really sure?
yeah,
Okay,
right.
you're not really sure, you feel that there are 10 different parameters that I should check, and that is where you go on analyzing and analyzing, and
Hmm.
I'm just limiting to 10, but when you go to point number 2, you may get another 3 more.
Yeah,
So 10 becomes 13 now, right? So here it is very important that, see, again, the the policies that you use for visibility may not be the same across everything. So when you define a policy for visibility on an application, will be very different from that of a database, will be very different from that of a network element, will be very different from that of a security element, right? You need to kind of define different policies
Hmm.
across different infrastructure parameters to be able to get that intelligent information that you need. Only data gathering doesn't help, right? Now say for example, I'll give you an example, and this is a real life example. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, so a day, the HR, senior guy walked up to me and said, "Hey, Abhijit, we have a problem. People are not able to submit documents."
Hmm.
I said, "Okay, interesting." So when you say people not able to submit documents, where are these people? In the network, outside the network,
Absolutely.
office network. Okay. He says outside the office network. I said, okay, so who are these people?
Hmm.
Fixed set of people, different set of people. No,
Hmm.
different set of people, because we take interviews, and post the interviews, we need them to submit documents, and those documents are not coming. I said, okay.
Hmm.
All of them not coming, some of them not coming. What is it?
Okay.
He
Okay.
said, no, no, it is very intermittent. Some gets through and some doesn't. I said, excellent.
Okay.
Do we have a view into what gets across and what doesn't get across? No, he's
Yeah.
saying, no, Abhijit, I haven't really kind of, but I get your question. I said, what type of documents come? I mean, what's the format of the documents? Word, Excel, JPEG, PDF,
Hmm.
what?
Hmm.
He said, mostly Word and PDF. I said, okay, fair. I said, okay, I mean, since candidates have submitted documents, you would have information on a candidate whose documents went through, all the documents went through,
Yeah.
and a few candidates whose documents, some of it went through, some of it didn't went
Good.
through.
Hmm.
Okay, so what is it? So he said, yeah, I have. I said, fair enough, send me that data. So then, post that. And since this was a document which was coming from outside, Prem, see, look at the visibility. The visibility, you've got to also understand your segments of your infrastructure. It is
Hmm.
coming from outside. So anything that is happening or not happening is into the perimeter security.
Correct.
What you have in your perimeter security, you have SSL, you have WAF, you have IDS, IPS, and then end of the day, you have a firewall and load
Hmm.
balance.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
looking at the behavior, this is an application related behavior, a particular type of files not getting into.
You're not getting synced.
Who understands application in this whole perimeter? It is the WAF,
Hmm.
and to an extent the LB.
Yeah.
But the LB will generally not do it because the load balancers are not used to, you know, uh,
Correct.
make use of such intelligence. So then, who's the only guy left in that whole perimeter? It's the WAF
It's
and
rough.
the SSL if possible. But
Hmm.
first the WAF. So we went to the WAF and started hunting for logs,
Okay.
and we saw, yes, the WAF was blocking PDF files.
Uh-huh.
This is information.
Yeah.
WAF blocking PDF files is information. Okay.
Correct.
Now started hunting for intelligence
Hmm.
in that information. Now this PDF is being blocked, understood, but all PDFs are not blocked. Some candidates are getting through,
Ah.
some are
Okay.
not. Okay. When we dug down a bit deeper, we figured out that uh, the WAF was blocking any PDF file which was an N-3 version.
Okay. The
Okay.
versioning.
Yeah. So if the if the Adobe Acrobat version 13 is running, till the time you are 13, 12, 11, you are getting through. But if you're 10, you are blocked.
Yeah.
Why? Because the WAF treats it as a malicious file.
Hmm.
There is a threat associated to it, right?
Right.
And the
Right.
signatures are updated accordingly. Now see, visibility, PDFs not getting across.
Hmm.
Intelligence, particular version of PDFs not getting across. Now, so if you kind of fine tune your visibility requirements and what actionable you want it to report, right?
Hmm.
Because it is blocking a file, but why is it blocking a file? You should ask the WAF to tell you that. If it
Right.
tells you that, you are nearer to your answers, right? So I think this is how you've got to build your visibility infrastructure.
Got it, sir. Now, coming back again to look at some challenging scenarios where observability was critical in navigating through crisis, or any lessons from that we can talk about,
Oh yes,
Abhijit?
oh yes, sure. There are different tools when you do observability across applications, databases, networks, and all. And I'll limit myself to the networks piece of it. So
Hmm.
there is this there is this technology called NPM, Network Performance Monitoring. Right? There are different
Monitoring.
tools.
Yeah.
Yeah? There are different tools to it. Now, how
Hmm.
is an NPM different from a regular visibility tool? Because NPM really gets into packets. It kind
Yeah.
of gets into deep into headers and understands each of the packet headers, right? And then comes back and tells you as to what is the problem right now. uh, Lives, there was a live issue, this is again another real time issue I'm telling you, Prem. I work for a bank, so
Hmm.
in my erstwhile organization, one day we've had issues with we seeing suddenly UPI transactions dipping. Okay,
Dipping.
the dipping, it went,
Okay.
went down by 20, 25, 30%, and that's critical for us, right? UPI is a very
Yeah.
critical interface.
Very, very
and
important.
and we immediately jumped into the NPM tool, because the NPM
Hmm.
tool was placed in a manner so that it could collect information from every place, correlate, and tell us what is the issue,
Hmm.
right? So, and then it does it like that. It will not take more than 5 minutes. Yeah. uh, so we looked at the NPM logs, and immediately we got to see that uh, so there was a cluster of servers behind a load balancer, right, which
Hmm.
was serving the UPI traffic, right? And and since this works on the network layer, it kind of gives you all TCP level, IP level logs, and etc., right? And we saw that one particular server was kind of behaving pretty odd as
Hmm.
far as the TCP logs are concerned, right? And we immediately caught hold of the server team, got them to investigate, and they were I mean, they were not really able to do that intrusive testing at that point in time.
Hmm.
But see, this is that question you asked me, Prem, about paralysis of analysis, right? So,
Yeah.
but we were dead sure on our NPM tool, because it monitors the packet behavior, every header packet behavior. We
Hmm.
looked at the TTL values of other servers versus this servers, and we definitely saw an anomaly, right? And we told the server team, why don't we take this server off the network for some time,
Hmm.
see what happens, right? Because our TCP logs say that this server is there is an issue. What is the issue? Not sure, but there is an issue with this
Yes,
server.
Nish.
The
Okay.
TTL responses and etc. are impaired as compared to the five other servers in that cluster.
Hmm.
Put that server off the production network, and things just stabilize. So here is the decision that you've got to take. That paralysis piece of it is
Yeah.
important. Here you would have kind of prolonged, no, no, ye dekho, wo dekho. See, you've got to trust the piece that if the TTL is not good, there
Hmm.
is a problem. Period. Kill it there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
You'll have
want
to
to,
kill it.
you want to do investigate deeper, fair. We'll recreate the situation, but don't.
I I take your point. The point what is first is the isolation. Post
Yes,
that is the postmortem. So postmortem can take later. I am with
yes,
you on that, Abhijit. So
yeah.
if you are able to find an alarm and you find there is something on where you can bifurcate that issue out or move that asset out for being, and it stabilizes, that means we have a fair idea that that is the where the
In
point is
fact,
happening.
Prem, I'll give you another example with the use of NPM tool, again, how you configure it for your use
Yeah.
cases. See, you'll always have these situations where you'll suddenly find that the application is running slow,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
first question definitely always is the network, right?
Hmm.
And hence it is important to have very clear visibility across across every hop in that network. Okay.
Yeah.
And the NPM tool, if you kind of configure it properly, Prem, so what happens is that, see, you have a web app DB, there always is that three-layer
Yeah.
architecture,
Three
right?
layers. Yeah.
Now between the app and the DB, the app is, so what we saw initially, we saw that there is a delay between the app and DB. Now the next question to ask is this a delay due to network, or is it a delay due to application, is it a delay due to database?
Database. Yeah.
If you look at the TCP TTL values, you will get to know whether the network is good, bad, or ugly.
Correct.
That is enough. Let us not look for anything more. Okay,
Correct.
it doesn't need anything to look at, right? Having checked that, we went to the app and the DB, and we ran specific queries across the app and the DB, and we figured out that the DB was taking time to respond to the. So visibility, Prem, if you want to build very good observability, there are three parameters that is important. One is the packet,
Hmm.
second is the flow, and third is the session.
Yeah.
Okay, so I call it SPF, just because or you call it SFP, because you use the SFP on the network switches and routers, right? Easy to
Yeah.
remember. SFP stands for session, flow, and packets. Your tool should be able to do all three of this at a point in time.
Yeah.
Now you know whether there is a problem with packet, whether there is a problem with session, or there is a flow, and you should be able to detect it.
So I'll take another example. This is for another bank. This is
Yeah.
little old story, but I was part of that bank for deploying high-end storage,
Mhm.
and we had a pretty large data flowing in, but the transactions commit was very long, as you rightly said.
Hmm.
The database has the hits. The
Yeah.
log says the server is pushed. The load balancer does not have an issue. The load balancer from the application side also is working. When three requests come, it's going to the three different servers.
Yeah.
We saw all that. It is all fine, but it is not writing and getting an acknowledgement.
Hmm.
Then we narrowed it down to saying that there is something which is not writing to the database, which could be the path. Then
Yeah.
when we did the analysis, we found the configuration was a single path. You have a single path to write to the storage, whereas it could be configured for multipath or a round robin stuff, which was not done. So
Yeah.
what we
So
did, we
yeah. Go
changed
ahead.
that
Go ahead.
parameter. We changed the parameter to round robin.
And started
Transactions were
working.
faster and the commit was much easier. So taking your point, we'll have to look at database, application, and network.
Yes. Very important. Very important, in fact.
Yeah, yeah,
And then you have to build different use cases for
yes.
different elements on the network, because everything will not be the same. For sure, it will not be the same.
Now, see, I think one more pointer that I want to understand from you, which is on the observability factor, where how do you see a balance that can be as part of observability on a technical aspect with human centric approach? Because leadership will look at how you look at the observability, right? And how do you make the technical aspects more a human centric approach?
See, I mean, so typically observability kind of helps you understand things in context, Prem. I'll give you a live example again, a real-time example. See, what happens is that when you're, suppose like, and again, I deployed it in my erstwhile organization, is that, when you kind of, when I'm running a UPI traffic, it's all transactional, right? So,
Yeah,
and
all
suppose,
OLTP operations.
yeah,
Yeah.
so when I use a 10 gig link, okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
say dedicated for only for UPI, and I set a threshold on that link saying that if it crosses 70%, I need an alert, because
Hmm.
depending upon how many times I get an alert, I will then consider upgrading the link, right?
Good.
Now see, now listen to this carefully. Now when you are looking at a upward threshold, when you are looking at an upward utilization, you use the threshold
Hmm.
70%. So 70% of what base? 10 gig.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now this logic holds good when you are in the business hours.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Now, say when you are off peak hours, now, sometimes say 1 a.m. to about 5 a.m. in the morning, that's an off peak hour. Traffic would be there, but not as high,
As
right?
much.
Now, I also want to be alerted if there is a dip in the traffic. Rise in the
Hmm.
traffic, I definitely want to know. But if there is a
Yeah.
dip in the traffic, then also I want to know, because,
That also.
now if I use the same logic, do a 30%, 30% of 10 gig, I'll always get alerts, Prem.
Hmm. Hmm.
Why? Because during that lean period, you will not have traffic.
Correct.
Then you are not sure whether I should keep it at 10% or I should keep it at 20%
Hmm.
or 30%. You're not sure, right? Now this is the dilemma, right? Now what do you do? What did I do? I looked at the last 3 months data of that specific time period, 1 a.m. to 5 a.m.
Hmm.
picked that utilization and made that as the baseline. Now, if there is a dip, the dip will be compared to the trend, not to the 10 gig bandwidth,
Hmm.
right? So here you are using a contextual reference to take an intelligent decision. Otherwise, you will get a lot of false alerts.
True.
Right now,
True.
this is where you kind of make that balance, because see, the moment you get alerts, someone has to act on it. Now just imagine if you get so many different false alerts and you set up a humongous amount of, either the alerts will be missed, or
Hmm.
and in that case some genuine alerts may also get missed, right? So
Yeah.
so you have to be careful as to what sort of rules and policies you deploy when you are doing observability and visibility.
Okay. Got that point. So again, I'm looking at how do we look at data-driven decisions
Hmm.
and consider an empathetic and considerable for the team's needs. So in a current thing, current world is more of data and insights, right, Abhijit?
Yeah,
So how do we maintain that human touch with our team and the leaders, especially in times of challenges?
absolutely. See, you've got to have deep insights into data, be able to correlate data. See, I'll give you an example. Like, say, for example, you have I'll give you a live example again.
Hmm.
Happened. Okay, we suddenly saw a huge bandwidth choke on our AWS interconnects. Okay, and we were a
Hmm.
bit surprised, saying that, "Kya ho gaya?" We had got enough capacity, and suddenly what happened? We
Okay.
are seeing bandwidth utilization. So we said, okay, something might have happened, but let us put this under diligent monitoring for the next 2 3 days and see and try and compare some times and etc and all.
Hmm. Hmm.
And we started to see some patterns
Okay.
of that choke, of that
Hmm.
utilization
Hmm.
going high, right?
Hmm.
Now once we saw that, then we wanted to check what's happening, who is causing this traffic.
Yeah.
Traffic is there, understood, but who is causing this traffic? We saw database traffic. I said, excellent.
Hmm.
What is the data now? Is it a traffic that is going from my data center to AWS, or AWS to my data center?
Okay.
It can be either, or
Either.
it
Yeah.
can be both. And we
Possible.
saw traffic coming from AWS to my data center. Now that's another observation, right? Then we saw, okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
database traffic coming from AWS to my data center. Interesting. Let's deep dive a bit more. When we dug into a bit more of it, we saw these were log files,
Hmm.
and we figured out who's the host, who's the destination. We tried and correlate if someone has fired a log purging command, as to why is this
Yeah.
happening. Why should logs get transferred? Kya ho raha hai types.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then we realized that there was an incident a few days back where one of the log servers had gone faulty, and they put up a new server, and they were
Hmm.
exporting the logs. Now, see, communication is important. Had this been communicated, we could have worked to dedicate a specific bandwidth for that log files to move across. It would not have disturbed the uh, application traffic, but here it did, right?
Yeah.
So now this is the data point, right? Now, see, from this data point, how do you get into strategy and leadership? See, this can happen again.
Yeah.
Right? Now, as a strategy, what did we do? We said, okay, this can happen again. So now what? Okay, let's do one thing. Let's separate our application links under replication links.
Hmm.
So the
Good.
links that connect between my DC to AWS for application traffic will not carry replication traffic, and
Correct.
vice versa. Right now, what now? Obviously, we build up redundancies and resiliencies, but what does that mean? See, this is data-driven decision,
Right.
design driven by data, right? So to
Exactly.
avoid any recurrence in the future, if it happens, you have enough capacity in the replication link to take care of it.
Take
If
care of.
not from one, and we also worked with AWS to build a multi-node delivery. So and a load balancing, and using a global load balancer sort of a facility, feature, so that not only one link gets choked, you can kind of distribute the traffic through different links.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? But don't touch the application link. That's more important.
Perfect. Now, I I can take another example with your reference. Again, it was on a database. It's same customer, banking customer. We were having Sybase at that time.
Hmm.
Okay, and see, Sybase has a setup which it has where it takes some chunks of hard disk as its RAM. Okay, and these chunks have to be kept, say 10 GB, 20 GB, or like
Yeah.
that, as a size of RAM.
Hmm.
So Sybase had about 100 plus chunks of like that for the database to function because OLTP again. And
Understand. Yeah.
as the as you rightly said, if in peak hours more number of RAM has to be utilized, bank basis has to. Every time you check, Sybase utilization did not cross 10 bank basis, whereas the configured was 250.
Hmm.
So we were checking configured is 250. Why is it not picking up?
Hmm.
So what we had told your queue, we had set a threshold of use only 10D, 10,
Oh, okay.
not beyond that. So why performance? Why performance? Every time we go, database is slow, database. But you see the logs, it does not have that kind of a bandwidth. If you look at real-time OLTP operations, no bandwidth choke.
Understand.
Then when we went and changed that to 10 to 30, no, it's a fraction of seconds, all the commits were happening, response was fast, everything was checked. So taking a queue there, I recall one Mr. I don't want to name full name is he was called Rags.
Okay.
So he Prem, I think there's some problem. I said, what happened, sir? Even the GM of that organization was looking at the logs and saying, yeah, he is a Tamilian. Inga thappu irukku. There is something wrong here. Something is holding here. Then we said, this log from where is that you are taking? Then we called the database guy. Then we checked. So he said, something is there. Then that guy was very quick and very effective guy from Sybase
Hmm.
itself. He just went and found that it was configured and it was not taking the threshold. We changed the number in fraction of second, things changed.
No, it is very important, Prem. I'll give you another real-time challenge that organizations deal with today. See, every organization today has a DC and DR, right?
Yeah.
If you do not have good visibility, how confident are you that when you do a failover, your DR will take over?
Hmm.
Do you have resources? Do you have homogeneous configurations? Do you have
Yeah.
the same capacity available? Are they in a healthy state? Now, suppose in a situation where your DC is to face a problem and you switch an application to DR,
Hmm.
it will not work, and then you'll figure out, oh, some issue with RAID 5, and so visibility is important, right? So what if it is DR, right? Visibility is important. So typically, visibility, right, or monitoring, it's very important that you have visibility to, I mean, assets, hardware, software, etc. Inventory is okay, but in terms of see, what is important today is service. I don't really care as to if your hardware is good, bad, or ugly. I need a
Yeah.
service,
Yeah.
right? So, and when you kind of attempt or approach with that thought process, there are three things that are important. One is the health
Hmm.
of that particular element or infra. It's the health. Second is the performance, and third is services. I'll give you a very easy example. We are all familiar with mail servers, right?
Yeah.
Health, server, CPU, memory, disk, etc. Everything is okay, fine. Performance, all your utilizations, etc., and it's live on the network. It's
Hmm.
pinging back, and everything all good. So performance is good. What if the SMTP relay services are down?
True.
Your mails is not going to work, right?
Yeah.
That's important for visibility, service level visibility. So doing only health and performance, I think, is was good in the past, but today you need to have visibility into services, different sort of application services. Today you have a lot of APIs running. What is your visibility?
Yeah.
APIs. Today you have a lot of third party interconnects that you run. What is the visibility that you have there? Good, bad, ugly, but you should have it. You know,
Now.
Regulatory compliances, all that across. I mean, visibility is not related only to infrastructure. Cuts across.
No, no, no. Now the situation is, how do we look from point A to point Z? That's the pointer that we should look at in the current infrastructure. and every element has to be recorded, tracked. I'll take another example. We were doing a BCP drill. That was a
Hmm.
drill, not the actual this one, and that is again for a bank. And we were looking at only switching the core banking system from
Okay.
from one location to another location. So the chief manager who was there said we will do only core banking, and we were clear. And I had instructed my technical team to have a script ready so that you just run the script, it takes over, and you are switched. On the network side, the core banking shifts from A to B. Rest all services are as long as it is a redirection. That's all.
Yeah.
So we did, and in this, I was in some discussion. Customer said, let's try the ATM services also switching to the DR.
Hmm.
They tried for almost an hour, and CBS is working, but the ATMs are failing.
Okay.
So all traffic is come to this one. I was checking, and at that time, this is old structure that I'm talking about because it is more reference to BCP EDR part.
Hmm.
When we checked, I asked the customer, sir, you don't have a ATM switch in the DR.
Hmm.
Did you check that? Oh, I missed this.
Yeah.
Okay,
See, this is
and
what I'm asking about.
uh, because you are saying critical elements have to be in track. This
Yeah.
example was right fitting because we did not take a stock. I had the stock, but customer thought the infrastructure is the same between DC and
Same.
DR, whereas it is not a 50% capacity, and we are doing a test. If ATMs fail, then it is a downtime for us
Yeah.
because so then we immediately told the network guys, come on guys, redirect it. Luckily, we had put a log of all the transactions in the ATM switches, saying that
Hmm.
if anybody takes or withdraws cash, the ATM switches will only refer the amount that is there in that guy's account and give you in the account, but it will not be a real time update to the system because we are testing it.
Yeah.
That saved us without any failures. Otherwise, it was a 1 hour business disruption for all ATMs.
So it is that, that's where I'm saying that visibility into architecture, visibility into capacity, visibility into configurations,
Hmm.
visibility into health of systems, all these are correlated outputs. And you have to have all this correlated before you do a DC drill or a DR drill. Or see, I mean, drill is a very planned exercise, right?
Yeah.
And incidents do not call you up before they happen, right? They just happen.
Yes. Yes.
So
They
till
will.
the time you do not have very clear visibility across your infrastructure, you will never be sure what you can get into. With visibility, at least you will know I'm good, bad, ugly, whatever.
Yeah. Sir, how are business leaders and the CEOs aware and stay competitive in today's market, especially to the trends and observability part of it, sir?
Very good question, Prem. I think for see business, if you ask me today IT, businesses are enabled by IT, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, any product launches and all, you'll see a lot of IT who's so the CIO or the CTO today is an equal business or a product leader as much as the business and the product leader are now. uh, Say for example, I'll give you a very classic example, right? So the other day, I'll not name anyone, but the other day I got a message from one of the institutions, saying that, hey Abhijit, why don't you sign up for a cybersecurity SOC analysts course that we run?
Hmm.
And I was like, have you looked at my profile?
Hmm.
So when you are sending out an information to someone, what's the basic visibility that you have about that individual? See, you're trying to sell me a product, but you don't really know whether I'm the right target audience for that product.
True.
But this is what happens when you do not have visibility and intelligence combined to give you a either a launch of product or tell you who should be your target audiences, and you can go horribly wrong.
Hmm.
Yeah. So CEOs today would look for data, trends, uh, patterns,
Hmm.
and grapple with them before they would want to take decisions.
Okay. Sir, on a next level, how do you think observability is evolving in the next 5 to 10 years, and
Well, I think
what should?
observability will become very, very important. Prem, I mean, let me kind of start with my favorite one, identity and access management.
Yeah.
How many organizations can boast of having a robust visibility on their identity and access management? All parameters of identity and access management. Okay. Now someone will say on-roll employees I know, off-roll employees I don't know. So you don't know.
Hmm.
Uh, I know individual IDs, but I'm not really sure about service IDs. So you don't know.
Yeah.
Password resets have not happened in 60 days. How many of them either you know or you don't know? You look at the problem statement, Prem,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you're running an enterprise.
Correct.
So I'm not trying to put the fear of God in anyone, but I'm just saying that a simple example, a very simple
True.
example. Now, if you're a growing organization and someone, and every time you need to, business will come back and say, hey, I'm launching this product, I need capacity. Now, across my network, do I know how many ports? I'm just talking about network ports, right? So
Ports.
let's say that every switch has got. I'm just for the purpose of our discussion and to make life easy. Let's say every switch has got 100 ports, and I've got 100 such switches. So I've got 1,000 ports
Yeah.
deployed. How many of them are utilized? How many
How
of
many
them
are
are faulty? And how many of them are free? And in which location? So if someone comes and tells me, Abhijit, I need 25 ports, 2,500 gig ports in Mumbai location. I mean, do I know it? Can I deliver? Can I not deliver? Period.
not? Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now, this is all about visibility and reporting and about building intelligence, right? And actually, the other piece of visibility that helps you is, see, a lot of organizations are adopting AI, and one of my favorite topics is AI ops, right?
Yeah.
What AI ops does is that it kind of first looks at. So if you look at the whole of the AI ops, there are three parameters to AI ops:
Hmm.
detect, report, remediate.
True.
Okay? DRR,
Hmm.
detect, report, and remediate.
Right.
Now, the quality of that remediation, which is the last step, will depend upon the quality of the detection, followed by the
Exactly.
quality of reporting, and hence by the quality of remediation. Now, if you want to do AI ops means what is all these are done automatically. So I
Automatic.
detect, because of a logic and algorithm, and obviously, machine learning and etc. I learned over a period of time.
Yeah.
So I kind of keep modifying my own sets of rules and policies. But I detect, I fire something to someone, he does some action, he fires something to someone, he does some action. Now, this is all a chain, right? So AI ops is a combination of detection and reporting in and combined with workflow management.
Hmm.
Now, just imagine if you go wrong there, right? So I think the capabilities of detection, reporting, remediation, whether you want to do auto or not, okay, debatable. Let's not touch that, but you'll have to remediate
Yeah.
eventually, right? Now, I think that's where I feel that in this interconnected world today, with more and more complexities coming in, with more and more technologies coming in, if you do not have visibility, you definitely are starting with a problem statement. I mean, leave aside living with it, but
No,
you're starting.
I was part of a AIML organization about two
Mhm.
years back. Okay, and their major thing was to look at the gap analysis. Where
Yeah,
is the gap exactly? And they used to do image-based processing using AI and ML. They were a product-based company.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and they used to give us or give the customer in data in such a way that if a claim process is being taken, they used to do business process optimization,
Okay.
and they used to look at where just taking a claim as an example, they would look at how the claim is started, how the engineers do, and how is the process going in, who's calling whom how many times, and
Yes.
why is that required,
Correct.
right? So that's the kind of uh, data that they used to run, and they used to give us a report which was a graphical representation. And It used to say they've called the approval for 10 times and so many claims are called by this one, which is not automated. The gap is that this is the gap or this is the price that has to be approved, so which falls under the next level of approval. So this is where that is it. If you put a cap saying that from 3 to 5 lakhs, this can go as an approval with this criteria is getting satisfied. So I think from an AI point, when you said the detection remediate piece of it, uh, that data input was very, very crucial for the AI to work out those algorithms.
Yeah, so I always maintain this because till the time your detection, and the detection is visibility, right?
Yeah.
Reporting is a combination of detection, visibility and observability, pattern types. Then you report it, right?
Hmm.
Because you would also suggest actions there.
Right.
Right? So that piece of it is very important.
Yeah. Now, coming into the what personal learnings or growth has have you been experienced through leveraging observability in your leadership journey?
So in terms of, see, I mean, I use visibility and observability, and I've been kind of advocating this for a very long time now, Prem.
Hmm.
MTTR, mean time to
Yeah.
resolve, by my
Meantime.
standards, is a very outdated terminology today. Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
and why? I'll give you an example. Why? Because when you say mean time to resolve, you should know what to do.
Yeah.
So if you say my mean time to resolve is 4 hours, do you know what to do within the first half an hour? If you don't, how will you ever resolve?
Correct.
Okay. So so I think I use this things to kind of look at what's the quality and efficiency of my diagnosis. How fast can I do it? Okay. That's point number one. Point
Hmm.
number two is how do I move from reactive to proactive?
Hmm.
What can the data tell me, and what can I look at the data and proactively take action? So see, because if you come to the hospital for a treatment, you're already impacted right now.
Yeah.
Proactively means what probes can I uh, deploy so that you don't need to go to the hospital. I should be
Hospital.
able to know that, right? Third piece of it is capacity management. Very
Hmm.
important piece of it. When
Yeah.
you're kind of running a large infrastructure, you should know your capacity pretty well, right? And you should know what to upgrade and when to upgrade, and
Went
when
to.
not to upgrade also. You'll see spikes sometimes in CPU, but again, good visibility will tell you that, hey, Abhijit, this happened because XYZ. This is
Hmm.
not a normal behavior.
Yeah.
Okay, and you can let it off as a one-off instance, right? So capacity upgrade. Compliances. How
Hmm.
compliant is your infrastructure? You need visibility. Uh, I work with a bank, so regulatory,
Hmm.
right?
Compliance and regulatory. Yeah.
So that piece of it also will come through visibility only. Visibility is not only technology; it's a lot of other
True.
things.
True.
So all this piece of it is very important, and without that, you would definitely find it challenging to go beyond a particular, or beyond a set standard. You'll always struggle.
Okay. Got that. What advice would you give to leaders, aspiring leaders, to harness the power of observability to drive innovation and change? Because innovation is one thing, and change within the organization using observability is another part. So, how do you look at that?
Yeah, I think a lot of so I think you should my answer to this would be, look at your problem statements.
Hmm.
Look at your problem statements for the last maybe 6 months, 12 months. You should have very clear understanding of your problem statements.
Yeah.
Now, and why I start with a problem statement, because that is the fire.
Hmm.
And if you are able to douse that fire, I think, one is that life becomes easy. People, you kind of establish a differentiation. Okay. And then the level of confidence that you and the management both have with each other is pretty high, right?
Hmm.
So look at
Hmm.
your problem statements, try and figure out why are this happening, what are the gaps. Here is where you need to build in your visibility to address those gaps. What are the visibilities and observabilities that I need? Put them up. So
Hmm.
you need not do everything at the same time. You may want to go step by
Yeah.
step, and kind of gradually build it up. There are enough number of tools available in the market. Look at them from the angle of the problem statements that you have. Do not go by what they are marketing to you. Then
Mm.
that journey may not be very pleasant.
Yeah.
Look at the problem statements that you have. Look at the tool that will help you get around those problem statements, right? And with that visibility, and obviously you'll also need to look at process re-engineering. You will need
Mm.
to look at integrations. You'll need to get smarter as you go get into your visibility and observability journey. You'll need to keep getting smarter and smarter and smarter. Why? Because you don't want the problem to happen.
Yeah.
So from reactively trying to understand, now that I have a problem, I want to solve it, you have to take the journey to I don't want to have a problem. So
Mm.
there your definitions and policies from and your requirements from visibility and observability will change. Just imagine a case, and I'm not telling this out of a book, Prem, but say for example, if I want to upgrade a link, why should I even look at reports? I build a dashboard which says that I put a policy that in a week during business hours, if my link utilization goes more than 70%,
70%.
obviously I keep a log of it. And if it has happened continuously over the last 3 weeks, send an email with the automated dashboard report straight to the person.
Yeah.
No, why should I get into it doing what? Nothing.
Yeah.
And there is enough business justification available, right? So I think
True.
those pieces of it are important.
Abhijit, one question out of the this one topic that we still we are considering the 70% threshold only on the links, or is that made a better part? Because I when I used to do projects implementation for banks, the threshold was 70% only. And today I
So
hear from you we are still on the 70% threshold, or how is
No,
it?
it is not like that. So see the core or the backbone links, the network
Hmm.
core or the backbone network links, they are kept at, and it depending upon the risk appetite of the bank, but banks do keep it anything between 40 to 55%. The core links. Okay.
Okay.
The
Hmm.
branch links, depending upon the size of the branches, can be at 70%. But if these are contact centers, if these are your service centers, if these are your back offices, you may want to shift that to 50%
Yeah.
again, because you don't
Got
want to get jacked in a. And again, if it is a forex branch, if that's a branch which is dealing with foreign exchange, you
it.
got to be
Hmm.
aggressive, got to put it at. So what used to also happen, Prem, is erstwhile the monitoring tools and all, they used to have a global configuration. So 70%, every link 70%.
Yeah.
It is not like that today.
It's
Every
not like
link
that, right?
today, today for each and every parameter or element, you can define different policies and different strategies.
That's the point I was driving to, because this whole generalized configuration for any
Doesn't
link is
work.
70%.
Doesn't work. It
Does
doesn't
not
work.
work, right? That's where I wanted to get little clarity, because now that we are on cloud and other stuff, there is a lot of bandwidth concerns. See, now
Yes.
I will take another example is when we talk about bandwidth. I had an Azure infrastructure which we were like, we used to see bandwidth charges being exorbitantly charged for us, right?
Yep.
And
And
we
you
were
you you
wondering,
tell me,
our
but
data,
but
if you
I'll,
pull, is about 2 GB per day, not
I'll
more
tell you.
than.
I'll tell
But
you, Prem. When you are doing Microsoft Office O365, which is on the cloud, right?
mm,
Every one of us somehow connect to the cloud. I'm not wanting to
yeah,
generalize, saying whether you have a direct connect, whether you have an internet connect. I don't care really. Do you know what is eating into your bandwidth? You know what is eating into your bandwidth? I'll tell you. And I'll tell you, this has happened in the last two organizations that I've gone through, and we detected this and set this correct.
mm,
Uh, See, the IT policy says that you should take a backup of your data regularly.
mm,
The backup of the data has to go to OneDrive.
correct,
Every damn joker in the end user community, you and me also are pumping data to OneDrive. अरे उतना
exactly.
bandwidth नहीं है, right? So what you've got to do is that you've got to look at incremental backup, not batch backups happening every
Back,
day from
back.
every element. That's one. Secondly, see, you cannot unfortunately you cannot bifurcate OneDrive and O365 traffic, which means if OneDrive comes up, your O365 will get hit. Okay.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
cannot control that. Now what you can control is duration of time when you kind of let that backup happen. So we tuned it to 5 to 7 p.m.
Hmm.
So you initiate your backup at 4:30 p.m. to maybe 6 p.m. That's it. Because by
Okay.
the time your other traffic dies down, right, and you can kind of initiate your backups and all. So again, visibility into what is causing the problem, detected, come back, intelligence says change the policy, deploy, monitor, go ahead.
Hmm.
Bandwidth upgrade, if someone would have done, would not have solved this problem.
Yeah. Why I was telling this case was I want to refer to that point. When we saw our whole data which we are connecting from the gateway server to the this one was about 2 to 3 GB per customer. If you have 10 customers, multiplication. Now I was checking what is the other thing that is eating, and we found for every server the logs were sent to a log server,
Why do you
and that
want to send
log
the daily logs?
server for any region was configured to one region.
That would have got choked for sure.
Yeah, one is the choke. The second is whether you are in East US or West US or North US or UK or anywhere, the log is to go to US East. So bandwidth between India to East,
East Coast.
UK to UK server is sending logs to US server.
Hmm.
So
No,
then we found we have to put a cap on the logs that has to be written to the local server, sync
that
it
is one.
later. That's the point that
You want the
we
logs to
arrived.
travel. Why should it travel every now and then?
Yeah.
Can we do a batch?
Yes.
What is the lean time in a so India region will have a lean time, US East Coast will have a lean time. Use the lean times that are available at each regions and do your log batch transfers. Why do you want to do it real time?
That was one thing that we found, and we started looking at that piece. Abhijit.
So that
So
makes a lot of difference because see, you would have again. So I'll give you a classic example.
yeah.
This would be a problem that you have observed at your Mumbai site. So you would have done this configurations on your Mumbai site. Okay.
Hmm, hmm.
Now, for some reason, tomorrow, Bangalore site is operational. Sorry, Bangalore also facing same problem now. See, you don't have visibility whether Mumbai and Bangalore side had homogeneous configurations.
Hmm.
इधर किया उधर भी करो.
Correct.
So this is visibility. This is the power of visibility.
Exactly. Now coming to the next point that I want to learn, how can we react to issues, be proactive to shape the direction of the organization using observability?
See, I think what you detect. So what you detect.
Hmm.
Uh, how soon do you detect,
Yeah.
and with what accuracy you detect.
Hmm.
These three questions need to be answered, and they need to be answered every day. When you are creating a new policy, when you are building up your visibility platform, when you are kind of working on building up your visibility strategy and deployment, these three questions are important. How soon can you detect?
Hmm.
So what do you detect? How soon can you detect? And with what accuracy can you detect? Right. So
Okay.
I think this is a chicken and egg story, Prem. I
Yeah.
don't think I'll be able to conclude it, but I think these three questions you will need to look every time there is an incident.
Hmm.
Every time that you have an incident, you need to ask these three questions and check what failed.
Yeah.
Correct it. Here is where after correct 10 times correcting is where you will start, it will start telling you, you'll start getting that feeling, oh, if I
Yeah.
do two additional steps is where I can become proactive now.
Hmm.
I'll
Hmm.
not be reactive. But every time you have this incident, these three questions you should ask.
Has to be asked.
Yes, and it has to be answered.
Very insightful there. Looking at the vast data that we get, okay, how do we prioritize and look at that insights with observability?
So again,
And
go ahead.
what kind of processes and filters do we use to eliminate the noise of actionable insights?
Important question again. See, you'll need to understand uh, impacts and risks.
Hmm.
So, from a banking parlance, Prem, uh, just a minute, I'll take a call. Just a minute.
Yeah.
So, quick one is So, what are your critical systems?
Hmm.
Alerts generated from critical systems are critical. Okay. What are the applications which has the highest impact on business? Say for a banking, my credit card system, my UPI system, my debit card system, my mobile banking, and my internet banking. So if I take this five applications, and there will be peripheral applications to each of this, thoda thoda.
Hmm. Hmm.
So with mobile banking, we'll have two, three hanging applications. So that cluster of applications today becomes your critical set of applications. So those alerts needs to be prioritized. You can make the tool configured in a manner that if alerts come from this system, it can jump the queue.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that. Second is, what type of categorization are you doing to the alerts itself? What is a P1? What is a P2? What is a P3? And what should be a
Yeah.
P4?
Yeah.
That is important, because if everything is a P1, then nothing is P1. Yeah. So you'll
Yeah.
have. So that is where I said, you every time an incident happens, you've got to ask that three questions: what did I detect? What was the quality and speed of detection?
Okay.
And what was the accuracy of detection? Go and set that correct. Period. If you have repeat problems, suppose there is a server on which every time the memory utilization is shooting.
Hmm.
The tools today allow you to define a problem ticket, not an incident ticket anymore now, Prem.
Hmm.
Three times incident ticket allowed.
Okay.
Fourth time, the tool sees it is that same host giving me the same error code. Observability tells me that this has happened three times already.
Hmm.
This is the fourth incident.
It becomes a known thing.
See, then does not generate a P1, P2, P3, P4. These are all
Ah,
incident tickets. Then it
okay.
straight away generates a problem ticket, and that problem ticket goes to the problem manager, L4, straight away, an
Straight
SME.
away.
It doesn't go
Hmm.
to an L1, L2, because they will not be able to do anything with it. So
Yeah.
you've got to design your detection capability, your impact and risk, and your resource planning accordingly. This all three has to be looked at. I mean, you can't leave
Hmm.
on the side.
Okay, great insights, Abhijit, on the R. We are on top of the R and we are overshooted by 2 minutes with the kind of discussion that we were taking up. Any final things that you would like to add to the topic that we are talking today, Abhijit?
Nothing much, but I would leave with saying that visibility and observability has to cut across technology stacks in the infrastructure, including hardware and software.
Hmm.
It is not only to do with hardware. A lot of people think that it is the case.
Yeah,
It is not the case. And visibility and observability across health, performance, and services.
wonderful, sir. With that, we would like to conclude our show for the day. It was a great session that we had, Abhijit. Thank you for being here.
Thank
Our
you for
next
guesting me, Prem. I think I enjoyed the discussions thoroughly. And if there are any questions that come across either to you or to the platform, do pass that on to me. I'll be happy to respond.
Yeah, I was about to have that piece told there. You can reach Abhijit on a scrolling link that is going down here and ask your questions. Plus, you can look at commenting the question onto the platform that we are with on LinkedIn. This event, you can put your questions there. We will look at those questions and we'll answer to the best of our this one, and based on Abhijit's availability we'll get back to you on that. With this, I think Abhijit, thank you. It was a great show that we had. Hope this session has been helpful for the team or the audience that are there looking at this session. We have been streaming this live directly to YouTube and Facebook for a later view. And with this, we are looking forward to see you again. We have another session coming up on next Tuesday. And with this, thank you, Abhijit. Good day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Prem. Stay safe and take care. Bye bye.